Hi everybody, Diane from California Tea and Herbal, and today I want to tell you a short story. And it's the story of English breakfast tea. It's also the story of Irish and Scottish breakfast tea. So let's begin in Scotland in the late 1800s with a very innovative tea master named Mr. Drysdale. And Mr. Drysdale loved tea, but he also loved to figure out how to sell tea. And so he had a great idea. Because the European breakfast tended to be very heavy and lots of meat, potatoes, eggs, things like that, he needed a black tea or a great tea that would go with these heavy breakfasts. So he had an idea. I'm going to name this Chinese black tea breakfast tea. Well, this really did catch on, and it caught on so well in Scotland that it moved to England, to Ireland, and each one of them came up with their own version eventually. Now, the English kept with a Chinese originally, and then they added Sri Lankan or Ceylonese tea. And this made it a little bit more interesting and complex, and it did very well with their eggs and bangers or sausages in the morning. Well, the Irish thought, we need even a stronger blend. So the Irish came up with a blend of usually the Chinese and then also some Assam from India and another tea, maybe a Ceylon also. So that's really the story of the breakfast teas. And so thank you, Mr. Drysdale. Now, when it got to Ireland, they added Assam, which comes from India, which is a very bold, I call it tough tea. And what that did was make it just that much stronger, which the Irish absolutely loved with their probably equally heavy breakfast. And so the breakfast teas had taken off big time. So each country or each company has their own particular take on breakfast teas. And I'm going to show you our three breakfast teas. Now, one is China breakfast, and that was the original breakfast tea. It was just black Chinese tea, and this is a beautiful tea. And then the Irish, we have an Irish breakfast blend. I'm telling you, there is one of my very favorite tea bloggers says it is the best Irish breakfast she's ever had, and it is super good. And boy, if you're an Irish breakfast fan, don't miss it. And then our English breakfast, well, we did something a little bit different on our English breakfast, and here's what we did. We use only a Sri Lankan tea. We do not blend that with anything, and people are just shocked. This is just, for me, an English breakfast tea should be bright and alive and hold up to milk and sugar, and it's a wonderful English breakfast. So let's take a look at all three. All right, tea lovers, here we have the three breakfast teas that we offer. And I'm going to go left to right. This is the Irish breakfast blend. Now, we blend this ourselves, and it is just so good. It's very, very bold. It's a great substitute for coffee if you're trying to switch. This has Assam from India. It has Sri Lankan tea, and it also has a very bold Chinese tea. Now, in the middle is the English breakfast. And again, you know, these teas are not from the country for which they're named, and we have chosen to use a Sri Lankan tea as our English breakfast tea because it's so bright. Sri Lankan teas are so clean, and it just gives you a great kind of a nice wake-up call, and it goes so well with a little milk and a sweetener if you'd like. Next to that is a very unique breakfast tea. Now, this is for somebody that wants super bold breakfast tea, and it's our Chinese breakfast. And this comes from from young bushes as opposed to very ancient bushes like our golden Yunnan. But this makes an excellent black breakfast tea. Just a Chinese black from young bushes, and it actually ends with just a slight hint of a pu'er. So there are three wonderful choices for you, and you can just look under black teas, and at calteas.com we put them all under the black tea category. Delicious. Now, if you've watched even a few of our videos, you've probably picked up that we aren't traditional with the way we approach tea. For instance, at home here, we love to brew our tea in stainless steel insulated travel tumblers to keep it just the right temperature when brewing. But today, I want to bring up something. Since we're doing an English breakfast tea, I want to show you what I'm going to drink that in today. All right, here is the story. This beautiful little collection of cups and saucers was from a woman who was like a second mother to me. She was a mentor in business and just in life wisdom. Wonderful. 40 years older than me, but I felt like most of the time we were the same age, and she was just like a best friend. Now, when she died, her husband said, "I think Delta would have wanted you to have her teacup collection." And at that time, the thought of getting into the tea business really wasn't even in my mind. So it was almost like God had said, you know, this is a direction you're going to be going when I look back on it. And so today I'm going to pick a cup from here to enjoy the Irish breakfast. I'm sorry, we're going to do an English breakfast that I'm going to have this afternoon. So which one shall I pick? You know, I love them all. I love them all, but I think for this English breakfast tea, I'm going to pick one that I can see a proper lady of Britain using during her afternoon tea, and I think it's going to be this beautiful pink china cup. So, all right, everyone, there it is. Isn't it a beautiful? It's just I don't know if you can tell, but it's just a very light peachy pink color cup, and it has just a slight bit of I'll tip the tea, you can see that little light blue lining about a 1/4 inch down from the rim. And it's some of these cups are so thin that when they're held up to light, you can really see through them. So I just feel so privileged to have had this gift from a woman that I love very much as a mentor and a friend. And so let's try it. All right, I've already added the sugar when I steep it, which is always a good idea to add your sweetener while it's steeping to really let that melt into and infuse into the tea. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of milk. Well, not a tiny bit. I actually put more in there than I planned to, but you can see this is such a wonderful color. And if it was the Irish breakfast, it would have been a much, much darker infusion. So, well, it's time to taste. Okay, everybody, thanks so much for joining me today and learning the story of the breakfast teas. And so, in honor of my dear mentor, Delta, I'm going to enjoy this now in her pink cup, and I hope you all have a beautiful cup or mug to enjoy yours in. Salute, and I'll see you next time. Oh, all of these are available at calteas.com. Visit us there. Please subscribe, please like, and please share with your tea-loving or your tea-curious friends. See you next time. Yeah, I added a little bit of the milk and actually coconut milk. Oh, it's so good. Yum.